Hey, what's up guys? It's Adam with High Action Disc Golf. If you've been following along recently, you'll know that I've moved and have been working on my new studio setup. I have since finished that setup, and by far my favorite part of it is a wall of discs that's back behind me. Each of these discs are either some kind of limited or special edition or hold sentimental value to me. If you guys are interested in seeing a little miniature tour of them, please leave it in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to do that. But today's not about this wall of discs. It's about a specific disc that's on the wall. And that disc is the new Discmania manufactured Cloudbreaker 3 S-Line DD3. I took this disc out to the field today, put it through the ringer, put it up against a couple of its competitors, and today these are the highs and lows of the Discmania Cloudbreaker 3. Let's get into it. Of course, as always, guys, if you like content like this, please remember to subscribe and hit that like button for me. It really helps the channel to grow, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, a couple of points for reference before we get started. First off, you'll see a basket out in the distance. The distance to that basket is 390 feet, just so you have a general distance reference. Also, there was pretty much no wind at all. It was a very light, maybe 5 mile an hour left to right / tailwind, so perfect testing conditions. Pretty much no wind at all. I'll be throwing 4 discs in the video, including the Cloudbreaker 3. The first disc that you'll see is going to be my stock run S-Line DD3. The second disc you'll see will be my first run Cloudbreaker 1. And then this disc I threw in because this is my current Hyzer Flip Big Bomber disc, which is my Discraft Big Z Zeus. This is what is currently in my bag. And then, of course, the final disc you'll see is the new Cloudbreaker 3. So let's hop over to the footage, and we'll see how this disc stacks up to these other 3. So the first disc is going to be that stock run DD3, and I'm going to hit this on my standard Hyzer angle that I would throw any bomber disc on, any flip-up driver, to try to get maximum distance. I'm throwing probably about 70 to 80% power. So you can see I hit it, it flips up to flat, rides a little while, but it has a pretty strong, consistent fade pretty early in the flight. The next disc here is that first run Cloudbreaker. Now on this shot I yanked it for sure, but you can see as soon as I hit it on Hyzer, it holds that Hyzer and never once gets any turn out of it. This disc is absolute straight beef and super overstable. The next one is the Big Z Discraft Zeus. This is my current bomber disc in my bag. And you can see why. It flips up to flat very quickly, rides that flat line for a really long time with a good fade at the end, but nowhere near the kind of fade and overstability as the DD3s have. And now here's the Cloudbreaker 3. So you can see on this, it gets a little bit of turn, but nothing near like that S-Line DD3, the stock run one. But it does get just a little bit of turn out of it, but still with that really strong, consistent fade at the end of the flight. The next shot you're going to see is a flat line. I'm going to hit it a little bit harder and try to hit it as flat as I possibly can. And we'll see how much they want to turn and how much overstability they have and how hard they want to fight out of it if they do turn. So again, I'm going to throw these in the exact same order as I did for the Hyzer angle. So starting with the stock run DD3, you see I hit it flat. It gets a decent amount of turn with a really consistent fade at the end of the flight still. I would say overall the flight with that on a flat release is pretty neutral. Next you've got the first run Cloudbreaker. So I hit this a little low, but you can see that I hit this thing flat as a board and it just rides that flat line the whole time with absolutely zero turn whatsoever. The Big Z Zeus, on the other hand, turns into a thrower. This disc is a little bit lighter weight and also is decently beat in and is considerably more understable than any of these DD3s. And then the Cloudbreaker 3 gets a little bit of turn, but definitely has a stronger and more consistent fade at the end than the stock run S-Line DD3. So right now, I would say that the Cloudbreaker 3 pretty much falls right in between my Cloudbreaker 1 and my stock run DD3. But I'm really going to put that to the test now because I'm going to hit all of them as hard as I can, really rip into them on a big high anti-angle and see how much they want to hold that Anhyzer and see if any of them are strong enough to fight out of it. So again, I'm really trying to rip into these with a lot of Anhyzer and pretty high. So you can see the stock run DD3, it holds that angle for quite a ways, and at the very end of the flight just dips out of it and does have that finish that I expect it to have. Going with the first run Cloudbreaker, I think I hit this a little bit higher, maybe a touch more nose up, but definitely fights out of that way earlier than that stock run DD3 and a lot more right finish. On the other hand, the Big Z Zeus, even with that much height, hitting it on that steep Anhyzer like that, it just holds it all the way into a roller in the ditch on the left side. And then with the new Cloudbreaker 3, I hit it probably about the same height as I did the first run Cloudbreaker, and it has a little bit slower finish in that. It doesn't seem to want to fight out of it quite as hard, and again, it seems like this disc pretty much wants to finish right in between the stock run DD3 and my first run Cloudbreaker. A couple of things to note before I get into my final opinion on the Cloudbreaker 3. First off, the plastic type. This new Special Blend S-Line plastic feels really, really good. It's got a good amount of give to it, and it's very tacky and grippy. This is exactly what I look for when I'm reaching for a long distance driver. I have smaller hands, and this rim fits really great into my hand, and when I'm reaching for that long distance driver, I want to be able to grab the disc, plant my thumb into the flight plate, and just dig in. And this disc is just soft enough to be able to do that. It feels really comfortable in the hand and just feels absolutely great and has a super good snap and clean release every single time I've thrown it. As far as the profile of the disc, I will say it feels almost identical to the Innova-made DD3s. The only notable difference that I've seen is right here in the flight plate. You can see where the wing meets the flight plate. There's just this touch of flat ridge right here that I have noticed. That is different from the Innova-made ones. And I don't know if that's just particular to this one or if that is across the board. But that seems to be the only difference that I can see at all. Otherwise, it feels pretty much identical to the Innova-made DD3. So as for my final opinion on the new Discmania Cloudbreaker 3, if you're looking for a long distance Hyzer bomb distance driver for those advanced players, this is the disc for you. This is great. If you're looking for a replacement for your Innova-made DD3s, this is the disc for you. I am really impressed with what Discmania is putting out right now. This plastic feels absolutely money. It feels really good in the hand, and I could definitely see myself bagging something like this. I will say that I'm not going to bag this one right now. This is going to go on the wall. I'm kind of too afraid to throw a black disc because I just know that I'm going to wind up losing it. And also, that Big Z Zeus is kind of my go-to Hyzer flip bomber disc right now, and I'm really comfortable with the way it flies. But I could definitely see myself bagging this if I wind up losing that disc or just decided to try something new. I could see myself picking up one in a brighter color and giving it a rip. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the reviews, and let me know if there's any other content you guys would like to see from me. This is Adam with High Action Disc Golf, and I'll catch you guys on the high road.